Hi, I'm Avory or Hazel or Kylie,
Hello, I am Lily.
and you have no idea how long it took me to get here. So
I have an idea.
before we get into this, I just want to just go ahead and say this podcast episode is going to be a little scuffed, and I may have to do a lot of editing because my allergies are acting up, so I'll probably be sneezing a bunch. I'm gonna do my best to edit all of them out, though. There's no way we could delay it
Hopefully,
because Lily forced us to delay it by 2 days. Uh,
it wasn't my plan to do it during your allergies.
yeah, no, but originally we planned to do it on Thursday, and now it's Saturday.
Days pass.
But anyway, welcome to From the Closet. Today we are covering Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children as our free movie of the month for August 2022. And, okay, so it is currently free on, I believe it was Amazon Prime.
Yes, it was.
Neither one of us watched it there, I don't think.
I watched it on Amazon Prime.
You
Oh
said
wait,
you
was
were
it free on something else?
you said you were gonna watch it on Disney Plus, and that's where I went to watch it.
Oh, yeah. I'll be honest. By the time when I actually went to watch it, I forgot it was on Disney Plus.
Oof. Oh, that's fun. My air conditioner
Yeah.
is picking up in the audio. Sorry, but it's summer in Alabama. I'm not fucking turning it off. So you'll just have to fucking deal with it. Okay, you can join us next week for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Shrek. And you can join us tomorrow for Iron Man 3.
Is that all the formalities out of the way?
No, I have to say that, yeah, this episode will contain spoilers for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Spoilers starting in 3, 2, 1. Jake's grandfather is dead.
Okay, that's barely a spoiler.
It's still a spoiler.
So, okay, I guess so. What happened like the first 10 minutes of the movie?
Fine, you want a spoiler? He comes back because time travel.
That was the more confusing part on how he came back.
Time travel.
Makes sense.
Effectively, peculiars can use the loops to time travel, and they take that to some absolutely absurd degrees in the later books.
Huh.
But yeah,
So, what are
go ahead.
peculiars anyway?
They're children that have special powers. How they get these powers, I don't recall if it was explained that well. Um, because really, this was just meant to be a fantasy series based on random photographs that nobody had any explanation for.
Huh. I mean, the only thing I was explaining that sometimes is passed by DNA.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
also, do
right. They
you
did
lose
say
your
it was.
power if you're not a children?
Well, no, because Jake's grandfather could still see the
Okay.
hollows.
Okay, I didn't know if his father could still see him.
And then also, like, the Embrons, most of those were adults. And they were literally stated as to be, like, the most powerful of the peculiars.
Oh, right. and the ringmaster died because he turned into the wrong person at the wrong time.
No, that was one of the whites. I'm talking about the Embrons, the creature, the peculiars that could
Oh.
turn into birds.
Oh, I forgot about those.
They are the most powerful, not the whites.
That makes sense. Though, isn't that the old one that you see later on in the movie dead? That
Probably.
actually, I don't know if the Hollow would kill her or bring her back as one of the birds.
Anyway, so this movie is directed by Tim Burton, who has done such classics as The Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands and Batman 1989. So, yeah, people have called this his worst movie, which, you know, if this is his worst, then that's a pretty hefty compliment to all of his other movies.
Definitely. I didn't see that many things wrong with it.
I mean, the first
I
half
mean, I wouldn't.
does just drag
Oh,
on.
it's like a roller coaster, except really long getting up there and really fast going down.
See, like, I remember we had a conversation midway through you watching this movie where, like, you know, I think one of us commented on the fact that, like, the first half drags on and you were only, like, halfway through. And then I said, yeah, this
Hmm.
movie, it's, like, fairly neutral, fairly fine for, like, the first half. And then it just goes sharp into what the actual fuck.
Especially if you've not read the book, which. Wait, have you? You read the book, right? Yeah.
I read the first 3 books in the series.
Oh, God. How many? Did you say there was 5 of the
Yeah, there are
series?
5 books.
Hmm.
And full disclosure, I didn't read the other 2 because it was years after the first 2 books had released because the author takes his time, and I never got around to it. And then now it's just been so long that if I were to go back and try to read them now, I would be totally lost because I can't really remember the events of the other 2 books. But what I do recall
So,
is that Olive and Emma have their powers switched in this movie, and their ages changed a bit.
hmm. So, from what I can tell, and I haven't read the book, but this movie sits between um, the Percy Jackson and the height of the Hunger Games.
I mean, you're comparing one extreme to the other. So,
Like,
yes, like,
well, I mean, we've only done
obviously it
3
sits.
book to movie adaptations.
Yeah, like,
So, like,
obviously it
we've
sits
only done
between.
the extremes.
Yeah. Although, it's questionable whether the Lightning Thief truly can be counted as the extreme. Some say Sea of Monsters is worse. I'd say
Oh,
I'd say it's
how
actually a little
goody.
bit better. I'd say it's a little bit better as an adaptation, but because of the changes that they made to make it a better adaptation, it's a worse movie.
Hmm.
Because
Well, I mean, didn't you actually say we cannot watch that movie until I finished the series because there's spoilers in it.
Yeah, but you have finished the series, so.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I would say it's a bad adaptation if there's spoilers for later books.
Yeah, but thankfully that's not a problem in this movie. But if they wanted to make sequels of this movie, they would have to very, very much change the way that they did world building, and they'd have to do a lot more world building in the second movie because this series has some very, very deep lore.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
remember
they could
enough
have
of it.
done the world building so much better in the first half of the movie instead of, oh, you're just crazy. Okay, now come back to the dock. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the first.
Go
Hmm?
ahead.
Sorry, I thought you. The first part of the movie really did drag on, especially with the. They kept teasing and hinting about these peculiars. I swear I can say it in my head. But they never showed them until way later in the movie. I'm
Yeah.
just getting hinted and teased. I was like, just show me it, just show me. It's like, no, no, no. You have to wait through this boring ass scene with a psychiatrist.
Well, I
I don't
think
want to see a psychiatrist.
okay, I think I have a different take on it. Like, I do think it does drag on, and at times it can be boring, but I do think the movie was trying to make you question if any of it was even real.
Hmm. What do you mean by that?
Exactly what I said. What else could that mean? Like, if any of
I
if
guess.
any of the stories were real, like,
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I've watched a bit too many movies that when it has it in the title, it'll probably be mentioned.
well, there's one. Now I got to edit that out.
I thought it was two.
No, that was the first time I
Anyway.
sneezed. So, yeah. There are times when you expect something because of the title, and you can still end up not having
Hmm.
that thing because it's all because the entire it that can play into the
Yeah, the
making
entire
you question it.
hoax.
Yeah, but yeah,
I mean, I guess I would have been really surprised if it wasn't, but I won my gamble on this one.
yeah. And the weird thing is, like, all the peculiar children, at least in this book and movie, live in Puerto Rico. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so obviously they don't tell Jake right away that he's peculiar, which to me felt like a baffling decision. It's like they waited to tell him that the only way he could have gone through the entrance to the loop is if he was a peculiar.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the Percy Jackson books waiting until way later to tell Jackson that he's, half-blood. Actually, now they say that out loud, there is quite a lot of parallels between that.
Yeah, I'd say there's quite a bit that set them apart.
there's a lot that sets them apart, but more parallels than I would have expected.
For one, the tone is very, very different. Because these kids are not meant to be heroes.
Yeah.
Like, they're just kids, and they're trying to just stay alive. And the whole thing is like they're being persecuted out in the real world, so they have to, stay, with Embrins.
In time
Yeah,
loops.
with Embrins in time loops. And like the insane
So
thing with
Embrins can. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
yeah, so like the insane thing with this one time loop is that it had to be created in a hurry. And Embrins usually prefer to create a time loop on the perfect day. But I mean, like, if Miss Peregrine didn't create a time loop on the day that she did, well, she and all of the children would have died. So,
How are time loops made?
the Embrins just make them. That's their power.
Oh, because I remember that really neat clock that she had.
I mean, that looked just like a regular pocket watch to me.
No, not that clock. The time where they put on the masks, and then what is it called? I mean, it looks like a regular watch when they put on the mask and you see this clock go backwards.
I have no idea what you're talking about. The only clocks I remember in the movie were the regular looking pocket watches.
Also, now that I think about it, Peregrine messed with that pocket watch to actually reverse time. It almost looked like she was resetting it backwards.
Yeah, well, like,
And
for
that's
sure
how.
she's the only, well, she and others like her are the only ones that can do that. Like, it's not like Jake could just pick up the watch and do it.
Yeah. Anyway, I just remember that there was this clock during the time where his Peregrine turned back time, and it had like days on it, number of days.
But yeah,
Oh well, it was a normal looking clock anyway.
so we have an interesting cast of characters. Obviously, I mentioned how they changed Emma and Olive, and they basically made Emma a love interest for Jake and gave her Olive's power, which is so weird. And it's also weird that she was like in love with his grandfather.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird.
God, I said it before in the Planet Hulk episode. Get this hetero garbage off my screen, especially when it wasn't in the book.
Yeah. I mean, I just hate movies that force the relationship.
Right?
Is there needs to be a relationship. Like, no, there doesn't. There can be platonic friendship relationships between all the characters, except the ones that you're supposed to hate. There does not need to be a love life for every protagonist.
For real. Especially when they make every single one of them straight relationships.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have a problem with straight people, but if everyone was straight, the human race would die off because we would overpopulate and then use up all the resources. Nobody come at me in the comments because of me saying that. If you can't understand satire, you don't deserve to criticize me.
Avory. We don't get comments.
We do. Just very, very rarely. That'll change one day.
But
And on the subject of
one day.
books, I'm not gonna say much, but we do have a project in the works, and we will reveal more later when it's ready.
Oh, right. We do. And by we, I actually mean you.
Yeah,
I'm
just
not in
me.
it.
Yeah, Lily is not involved with this, although she might be in a couple of instances.
I think I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, we'll get to those when we get to them. But yeah,
Actually, when is this coming out? When is this
th-
podcast episode
th-
coming out?
this episode on Monday.
Oh, right. Yeah, usually we record so far ahead that I forgot that we're panicking.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue.
So back on the interesting cast of characters thing, we have Millard, the Invisible Boy, and he is frequently naked. Which I guess if you're invisible, it's fine.
Doesn't matter.
But I don't know. That's it's kind of weird. I would not feel comfortable even if I was invisible, being naked around other people.
I guess you just get used to it, and especially how, like, being naked is the only way to become undetectable.
Well, see, here's my thought process. I would be constantly afraid that somebody would accidentally touch me.
Yeah, that's also a worry.
Yeah, it's a very considerable worry. We have Hugh, who has like swarms of bees living inside him, which just reminds me of that meme of the guy who couldn't wrap his head around uh, using they them pronouns for his child. So the child told their father to imagine that they were a bunch of bees inside of a trench coat, and that somehow worked.
A bunch of bees in a trench
The
coat.
NB in non-binary stands for numerous bees.
Numerous
That's
bees.
why they use they them pronouns. The gender fluid that they speak of is honey.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a lot of shit going on. I find it a little bit funny when Miss Peregrine talks about having to kill people because they won't leave her and the kids alone, and it really doesn't matter because everything will just be reset.
Yeah.
Like she mentions having killed some people twice already.
Honestly, I think that's the best part of the movie.
I don't know. I'd say the best part of the movie is when we get into the second half and we get the Whites and we get like Jake.
That's
We get
true.
Jake being brilliant.
And a terrible shot.
Yeah, absolutely terrible shot. Fucking stormtrooper aim.
I actually like how that's consistent with his character.
Yeah. For sure.
Also, Samuel Jackson's insult at his aim. That was golden.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And I love that Samuel L. Jackson, even though he's like in this movie and he plays a major role, I don't feel like he steals the show. Like, it doesn't feel like he's trying to overact and, one up any of the other actors. Which is great when you have a lot of child actors in this movie.
Might definitely feel like he's definitely the person for that role.
Yeah, he fits the role perfectly, but he's not trying to one up anyone else's acting.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting to see him in a villain role when I'm so used to seeing him as Nick Fury. Like, I feel like that's really really a fun dynamic
Yeah.
there. He's also got really weird hair in this movie and just like solid white eyes because he's a white. And the weird thing is they never said white in this movie.
Hmm.
But
I wonder
yeah,
why.
I don't know. It's a weird choice for sure. But let's talk about the monsters and hell, the gifts and all that. Because one thing this movie does really well, even though it's not one of the best book to movie adaptations, the visuals.
I concur.
Yeah.
I love how it feels like so the movie constantly goes into the other kids' perspectives as they can't see the monsters looming about and how their shadows are there but they can't see them. That was perfectly done in my opinion.
Sorry, I could not hold that one in any longer. Um, okay, but yeah, I agree with you. The kids could see the shadows, and as could Miss Peregrine, but they couldn't actually see the monsters. And that was Jake's gift, and also his grandfather's gift.
I just wonder why can't they see the monsters? Just some magic stuff?
Yeah, something. The thing the
Okay.
thing I never understood, and I considered a plot hole with the original books, is how this
Hmm.
peculiarity exists because the Hollows never existed, like starting out with. They were the result of an experiment gone wrong. So how on earth is there a peculiarity that lets people see them?
Hmm. I wonder if that peculiarity lets you see other things as well.
Nothing
But
that
I guess in this age,
Nothing that I know of, but like I said, I did only read the first 3 books.
hmm,
So maybe Ransom Riggs, the author of the books, finally like explained something. But yeah, I don't know. Another
yeah,
another thing.
I just
Go ahead.
hmm. No, you first.
Another thing I want to say, even though I love the visuals in this movie, and how well they did with it, because a lot of book to movie adaptations, they do not do well with the visuals at all because they don't feel like it deserves a budget. Yeah, just leave it there. They don't feel like it deserves a budget, namely fucking Aragon. But this movie does really well with the visuals, but as well as it does, I will never like seeing anything that has to do with like injuries to eyes. And
Ugh, that was
yeah,
disgusting.
so like this movie, they fucking literally eat kids' eyes. Like, not just, eyes of adults, they're eating children's eyeballs.
Wasn't that in the book?
Yes, it was in the book.
Yeah, I can't exactly blame them for following the book to somewhat of a T, but oh god, that was disgusting.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to read it because I don't have to see it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You have to see the graphic of, I want to say their tongues gaping into eyeballs. Ugh.
Yeah, but okay. So back on the peculiarity that Jake has for a second, I love his strategy at the
Hmm.
end where he gets the other kids. He like gathers all of the hollows into a specific place and basically gets all the kids to start chucking snowballs at them. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because like they can see the snow, so that actually makes it possible for them to fight them.
Actually, if I remember, that was how they exposed Randall in Monsters Incorporated.
You may be right about that, but I haven't seen that movie in over a decade at least.
Yeah, Wazowski threw a snowball.
See,
Well, trying to hit Sully, but still.
the funny thing is, like, I keep on trying to do Pixar movie marathons, and then I keep stopping. And, like, I'm doing them in the order of the Pixar theory, and, well, Monsters, Inc. is last.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get close. You probably wouldn't even get close to WALL-E.
No, I think the farthest I've ever gotten was Toy Story 2.
You really need to start doing marathons in release order.
Well, see, the whole reason I want to do a marathon is to watch them all in, like, Pixar theory order.
Look, I'm just saying, I don't think that's helping.
No, the thing that's holding me back is my ADHD. It has nothing to do with the actual order of the movies I'm watching. But yeah, I think this movie it does a brilliant job with the visuals. It's a mediocre adaptation. Is it Tim Burton? Is it Tim Burton's worst movie? Maybe. I will say that I enjoyed this movie more than I enjoyed Edward Scissorhands. But that could just be me. I don't know. I just didn't find an Edward Scissorhands to be that interesting of a movie.
Oh, and I have already mentioned in the pod. Wait, no, I haven't mentioned. Next week I'll mention that I prefer Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory more than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, and that one was directed by Tim Burton. The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was. Which,
Yeah.
for those of you who are a little bit confused, that's the remake with Johnny Depp. Yeah, and we're going to cover that eventually, too. But, yeah, shit. Okay, so I think I need to go ahead and open the critic ratings. Thank God I took a screenshot of this days ago. I just didn't have it prepared and ready to open. So, yeah, do you have anything else you would like to discuss with this movie?
No, I feel like we've discussed everything that we could. Actually, strike that. Because the ending was very peculiar.
Puns.
So the kids are sailing away, and then Miss Peregrine is just looking out. Does she, like, go back to the boat, or are the kids just on their own?
You know, that was just kind of weird. I don't really understand what's going on there. And then also something I want to say is, like, you know, Emma early on says more than a few minutes in your time and the years catch up. And then they get stuck for, like, a couple of hours in 2016.
I guess it was exaggeration.
Yeah, like, it probably was an exaggeration, and I think she might have even sincerely believed it. It was just like an exaggeration she'd been told.
Though, okay, so you see that Rose that completely have decomposed.
Yeah.
Not decomposed, basically rotted.
Yeah, it rots and, like, disintegrates. We see that. The weird thing to me is like why Jake's phone doesn't work inside the loop. That's kind of odd. But yeah. So anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get into the critic ratings. This movie scored quite.
Good
This
idea.
movie has scored quite low across the board. IMDb
How low?
IMDb gives this movie a 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 64%. Metacritic has it at 57%, and 73% of Google users liked the movie.
I'll start. Just get it over with right away and say 7.9.
Gee, I don't know if I would have rated it that high. I kind of premeditated at 7.2.
Yeah, I actually premeditated it for the first time in my life when I was watching the movie.
So you thought it was actually really that good to get a 7.9? Because, like, that's almost an 8.0.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I guess at the time, I didn't know about any of its flaws when it comes to an adaptation, because since I haven't seen the book, I wouldn't know.
Haven't seen the book.
So, yeah, I haven't looked at the book.
Lol. But yeah, I guess fair enough. It's not the worst book to movie adaptation because, like, we have the Percy Jackson movies, we have Aragon, we have Artemis Fowl.
And not the best. We have
The Hunger Games, we have the
Hunger
we have the
Games.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I can truly call this a mediocre book adaptation.
Yeah.
It's just medium.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there, like a fairly inoffensive adaptation of the book. But yeah, with that being said, I think we're going to wind this down to a close. So until next time, I've been Avory, that's been Lily, and I had to pretend to be a psychiatrist.